Jordan's RC's here with you again, and we're going to go over some things. Tips, tricks, and do's and don'ts with the axial SCX24s. So, first off, setting up the suspension on these things, you know, on the A-arms, as well as the actual shocks themselves, there's a couple different ways to set them up, and I think this works better than the way they come factory. So, when you pull one of your A-arms off, it'll have one of those little plastic black pieces in there. It's got like a little ball on the center and then two pieces that come out for the screw to go into. Hard to see, but yeah, and see it moves in there. That's what it comes like factory. So what I like to do is I actually like to use the little balls with the screws on the end that come with it for the arms. You see how much more they move? And freely too, like freely, see? These on the other hand, on the other side, those plasticky ones that sit in there, they don't really move that well. They're kind of hard to see, but they're really tight in there. So these move way more freely, see that? And of course you get a little bit more length with them too as well. So to show you, so that's what comes in them factory. It's got the little plastic ball in the middle and then the two ends, and it's just plastic. And what I like to put in there are these. And then not only can you just stick the Allen key in the end and unscrew them, but most of everything just pops right on. So you don't really have to work to get it off. And like I said, they work a lot better. It definitely gives you, in the whole suspension area of your truck, it gives you way more articulation. So, that's one thing. Two, say for an example, like how I have my shocks mounted on my truck. See, they're on those little ball pivots. See that? And then they go through and connect to one of these aluminum rods on both sides. See that? Now, that's not stock. These are from factory. These are what usually hold the screws for the shocks in, as well as the body post. And get rid of it. I like to mount them straight to the chassis, and then have magnetic body mounts, or some people like to Velcro it down. Doesn't matter, but I don't like the factory mounts anyway, so I get rid of them. But keep them around, because, for an example, if you have nothing to thread one of these little guys in, you have nothing to thread it in, no little tiny nut or whatever, you know, there's nothing to thread it into. If you don't have any of those fancy metal rods that I do that go through the frame, then what you can do is take this guy here, and you can actually cut these little tabs off where the screw goes through. Okay? So cut those little tabs off and shave down where you cut, and you can make a little plastic nut. So you don't need no shaft or anything. You just simply grab the piece you're trying to screw into it. You might need a pair of pliers because it is small. And you just get it into the threading and screw it in there. Oh, I need my screwdriver bit. Hold on. There we go. And you just screw it in there. See? Look at that. Holds it just fine because it's got threads in there. So, again, if you guys have all your factory pieces laying around and kind of need a plastic nut to hold something like this on your truck, cut those tabs off. Sand them down, and there you go. You got a plastic nut. So, Another thing here I found out, really cool. So the factory trucks don't come with spacers in between the suspension. See, like I have that white spacer, give it a little space away from the chassis. No, they don't come with them. But some of the nice aftermarket shocks you get, like these ones on the C10 Creature truck, come with them. And they are brass. I'll show you here in my hand. See, they're brass. And they're nice. They work good and everything. Not complaining about them. But if you don't have that, and you don't have aftermarket shocks or anything like that, but you want to space your shocks out away from the side of the rails on your chassis, you might laugh at this, but this is from a Tech Deck. You know, those little kids' Tech Deck skateboards, you know? So if you take that middle nut off, there's two spacers holding the truck on, just like a real skateboard, right? So if you take those spacers off, you can actually use them to space the shocks out on your truck. So if your kids have any of these laying around and you're sick of stepping on them, you can use them. Take them apart and use the spacers for your axial. Works really good. Another tip. This is the worm gear that's inside both axles, front and rear. Okay? This one's toast. It may not look too bad, and it's really not that bad, but if you take a brand new one and put it beside this one, you'll notice that the edges of the whole worm gear is actually nice and fine to catch the actual gear inside there. Well, this one, because there was hardly any grease inside of it, it got dry and it just kind of engraved it and took away that nice fine line on the worm gear. So now this doesn't really, it kind of clinks and doesn't really want to catch the other gear. Makes some ugly sounds. Ugh. So if you don't want that to happen, pop open your diff cap right there, your pumpkin cap if you want to call it, and just put some grease in there or some oil or whatever, just as long as it's not bone dry like this one was. I don't know why this one came bone dry, but it did. So it's another tip for you. Now, I did cover this in one of my other videos, but quickly, if you want to build some custom mounts for your suspension and to have more mounting positions, get yourself some aluminum and just shape out some shapes like this and drill a bunch of holes. This is for the rear, and these are for the front. They bolt on like that, and look how many holes I have to position my shocks. It works great. I love it. And I made them. And for dirt cheap. You didn't have to pay, you know, 30, 40 bucks for two. I noticed a lot of things for the axle trucks come in 2 and not 4s. So, yeah. One other don't do is get the aluminum transmissions off Amazon. They don't fit. I mean, you might get lucky and you might get one that fits, but this one sure didn't fit at all. For some reason, all on the bottom here where the gear is, it just doesn't want to line up. It's not carved out right. The machining is not the greatest. And I don't know if you could see it, but through that gap there, right there where my finger is, you can actually see the gear spinning in there. You can't really see it on camera, but in person you can. And that's telling me that there could be a lot of dirt getting in there. So, garbage. Again, when you get the metal this is a stock one, factory, all plastic, but pretend it's the aluminum one, like I have here on this truck. Nice aluminum axle and servo mount up there. Well, what I had to do to get those two things to work was, when I first got it, the metal servo mount from Amazon. Again, this stuff's from Amazon. So if you want to order the metal axle kit with the servo mount from Amazon, be careful, because when you go to fit it on top of the axle where it belongs, right here, it doesn't fit right. Not only that, the screw holes don't line up, and you kind of have to drill them out. So unless you're really good at doing stuff like that, I would highly suggest not getting that kit. Because yes, you do have to very carefully drill these holes out here and through there. and it's pretty tough on the aluminum ones because aluminum's thin. So again, do's and don'ts. One don't is I would not order the front aluminum servo mount. If you're gonna get the axle, I would just use the plastic servo mount. It'll save you 5, 10, 20 minutes of bull crap, and if it doesn't work out, well, then you're just mad anyway. So I would just stick with the plastic one. I think that's about it for this video, guys. If you liked anything I did here or want to comment and ask anything, smash the like and subscribe button, and there will be more videos upcoming. I got a whole bunch. Yeah, thank you.